Have you ever started a new habit and your ADHD brain immediately thinks, well, let's see how long this lasts? It seems harmless, but that little thought plants out before we even begin. And the first time we don't stick to that plan perfectly, our brains usually jump straight to, see, I knew it wouldn't stick. Well, in episode 323 of the I'm Busy Being Awesome podcast, we are going to flip that script, and I'm going to share with you first, why that thought is such a trap. Second, how you might think about your new habits and routines instead. And then 3 practical ways to build habits and routines that last. So let's get into it. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. If you are listening to this in real time, happy first week of October and beginning of Q4. I have no idea how that just happened. But with that in mind, I was thinking we could maybe spend some time together today exploring the theme of habits and routines, since a lot of us do love that fresh start, clean slate energy of a new month or the fresh start of a quarter. And more specifically, today we're going to explore this sneaky little thought that so many of us navigate when it comes to setting and sticking with our habits and routines. And that thought is, well, let's see how long this lasts. I mean, have you said this to yourself before? I know I have. And on the surface, it even sounds kind of harmless. In fact, your brain might even be thinking something like, look, I'm just being realistic. But the truth is, that one thought, it's actually working against us. Because the moment we think that, the moment we say, let's see how long this lasts, we are already assuming it's not going to stick. We are already planting that seed of doubt before we even begin. And because we've seemingly decided ahead of time, our brain is on the lookout. So when we adopt that new habit or that new routine, and the first time we deviate from it or we don't follow it as initially planned, our brain then goes, aha, see, I knew that wouldn't last. I told you so. And that is what I want to dig into today. We're going to talk about why this thought is such a trap and how it keeps us stuck in all or nothing thinking and how we can then shift to something much more supportive overall. Now, before we explore this even further, I first need to ask you, have you taken my free quiz? It's called What is Your Overwhelm Type? And I designed it specifically for our ADHD brains. In just 7 simple questions, less than a minute, you will discover the unique way that overwhelm presents for your brain, the obstacles that pattern creates, and powerful steps to help you shift from overwhelm into action today. So you can head to I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/quiz to take it now and get your personalized results. Okay, let's start by exploring why this thought, let's see how long this lasts. Let's explore why this is such a trap. When we establish a new habit or start following a routine successfully for a few days, and we think to ourselves, let's just see about this. It seems innocent enough, but in reality, it kicks off this cycle that is just not supportive of where we want to go. When we think this to ourselves, we are creating so much doubt about our ability to stick with it. We create hesitation. It makes that new habit seem kind of fragile, like it could break at any moment. And when we feel that way, that doubtful uncertainty, that hesitation, that's how we start showing up. We start scanning for more evidence of why it won't work. We notice every struggle, every piece of friction. We second guess ourselves. We brace ourselves for that moment when everything's going to fall off the wagon, whatever the expression. So in other words, when we are telling ourselves, let's see how long this lasts, that's exactly what we do. We wait to see how long it lasts. We set ourselves up to wait for it to end. We make it inevitable that the habit won't last. And please hear me, it's not because we're not capable of sticking with it. It's because the brain was already on the lookout for all the reasons why we won't follow through, and what we focus on grows. It's the same as if you got a blue car and now you see all the blue cars on the road, right? It's what you're focused on. It's what you're going to see more of. Now, I also want to mention that this is especially common for those of us with ADHD brains because we do have so much past evidence of times when we didn't stick with habits or routines in the past. We do have that stack of planners we didn't use, or the bedtime routines we didn't follow, or the morning schedules that we slept through, or the workout streaks we abandoned. Yes, we do have evidence. And so our brain does naturally use that history to try and predict the future. See, this is just who I am. I never follow through. I knew it wouldn't work. So it makes sense why a lot of us with ADHD do feel this hesitation. And then on top of that, our all or nothing perfectionism sneaks in. So if we miss one day, we take one detour off the plan, our brain jumps straight to, I blew it. I failed again. Why do I even try? I knew it wouldn't last. It's almost like when we think to ourselves, let's see how long this lasts. It's like we're trying to soften the blow a little bit by anticipating the failure ahead of time. So that when we, quote unquote, inevitably don't stick to the plan because the brain thinks we won't, we can then say knowingly, well, I knew it. I mean, this is just what always happens. We think we need to soften the blow in order to avoid feeling frustrated or disappointed. But what I want to offer is that's built on a misunderstanding. That's built from the mindset of all or nothing thinking, where we believe that if we don't do it one time, or if we don't stick to the plan all week, we've failed. But that's not true. That story is optional. It's truly just a habit of thinking that we've practiced. And when we can shift out of that pattern of thinking, we create so much space for something incredibly supportive. Now, one of the reasons I've been thinking about this topic so much is because of a recent conversation with one of my clients. So she is working on her evening routine, and one of the steps that she started with is deleting the YouTube app from her phone. She decided, okay, if I want to use YouTube at night, I'm going to have to watch it on my browser instead, just because that creates a little more friction than the ease of the app. And as we know, YouTube can be such a sneaky rabbit hole at night. And you know what? It was working. From deleting that app, she was having so many wins with this approach. But when she would tell me about it, she often added in, but let's see how long this lasts. And that right there is such a perfect example of this trap. Not because she wasn't following through. She was having success, but because her brain was already anticipating that it wouldn't stick, that she wouldn't follow through, that it wouldn't last. And that is where the shift into identity-based habits comes in. So instead of thinking about our habits or our routines as something kind of fragile that we're trying to build up from nothing, I think it's really useful to shift into identity-based thinking. It's that difference between telling ourselves, I'm working on establishing this habit, and saying, this is who I am. This is what I do. And I don't know about you, but when I am in the mindset of trying to build a habit or establish a habit, I'm working on this habit, that all feels kind of shaky. It's like I'm waiting to see whether it's going to work or not. I'm trying to get to bed on time. I'm working on this thing. I don't know if it'll happen. When I'm thinking along those lines, I can feel that tension in my body. I feel like I have to hold it all together. It seems like there's a lot of moving, complicated parts, even if it's just one new habit. But when I can shift into the identity of that practice, let's say it's around bedtime, when I can tell myself, I'm a person who goes to bed at 8, or I'm someone who gets 8 hours of sleep. That's just what I do. It's a non-negotiable. Or at least I'm in bed and could get 8 hours of sleep if I could actually sleep. It's non-negotiable. When I can step into that identity, that's what feels solid. That's what feels grounded. That's what I can really lean into. And here's the important part. When I inevitably miss that 10 p.m. bedtime for whatever reason, when I stay up later than I planned, I don't make it mean I failed. I don't think, well, there goes the habit. I knew it wouldn't last. Instead, I can look at it with curiosity. I can ask, well, that's weird. I'm usually a 10 p.m. person. What got in the way of that? What might I put in for support tonight so it's easier? when I want to go to bed by 10 tonight. That's the difference between habit-based thinking and identity-based thinking. Habits, they feel fragile. But when we can step into the identity, that feels so much more steady. Think of it this way. Here is a ridiculous example. If I spill milk when I'm pouring a glass of milk, I don't throw my hands up and say, well, I guess I can't pour milk. I am a failed milk pourer. I knew I wouldn't be able to stick with it. I'm done with that. I'll never pour milk again. No, I clean it up and I pour another glass and I move on. I'm still a person who can pour milk. Or if I'm out walking Bruno and I trip, okay? I don't say, well, that's it. I'm not a dog walker anymore. Why did I even try? I knew it wouldn't last. I'm bad at walking. No, I just take the next step forward and I'm like, well, that sucked. Let's keep going. Again, I know these examples are ridiculous, but it's really the same idea. With any kind of habit, any kind of routine, an interruption, a detour, it doesn't erase your identity of who you are. It doesn't mean you've failed. It's just a moment. We just didn't go to bed at 10 that one time. Not a problem. You're still a 10 p.m. bedtime person. So what do we need to make it happen tonight? When we approach our habits from identity, from this is just who I am. This is just what I do. It takes away the pressure of needing to perform a perfect streak every time. Instead, it becomes something that we can return to again and again, no matter what. So with that in mind, let's kind of bring this together with some practical strategies because y'all know I love tactical and practical as well. And I want you to be able to pick one and implement it this week. So the first strategy is anchoring your habits in identity-based language. So as we've talked about in this episode, instead of saying, well, I'm trying to build this habit of walking each day, we want to shift into, I'm a walker. I'm a daily walker. This is just what I do. That tiny language shift can make such a huge difference because, again, I'm trying to build a habit is shaky. It leaves room for doubt. But I'm a walker. I'm a daily walker. That's just what I do. That's so much more solid. That's who you are. And you can do this with anything. I'm a reader. I'm a person who keeps my inbox manageable. I'm a podcaster. I'm a declutterer. Okay? So step into that identity-based thinking. The second strategy here is to redefine the word consistency. So often we think consistent means every single day without fail. In fact, I have a whole podcast on this. I can't remember the number right now, but I will link to it in the show notes where I really expand on this idea. But so many of us think consistent means every day without fail. That definition, first of all, does not serve us, nor is it accurate. Life happens. ADHD happens. We are humans, not robots. So I invite you to think of being consistent as being a person who returns to the thing. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's always about coming back. If you step away from that habit for a day or a week or a month, it doesn't matter. You're still the person who does the thing because you return to it. That's what makes it consistent. And then the third strategy here is to practice that return without judgment. When there's a detour, instead of going straight into shame or self-blame, try to step into curiosity. Maybe you think to yourself, well, that's weird. I wonder what happened because I'm usually a person who does this. That simple reframe keeps the door open instead of slamming it shut in, I knew it wouldn't last. So again, as you think about whatever habit or routine you're focused on right now, I invite you to play with these 3 strategies. Number 1, anchor that habit or that routine in identity-based language. Number 2, redefine what consistent means to you. And number 3, when you inevitably take a detour because you're a human and you don't follow it perfectly, practice returning without judgment. And if you know someone else who might love to hear these strategies and this reframe around habits and routines, would you be a rock star and share this episode with them? You could send it to them in a text message. Maybe you snap a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories. I so appreciate your help in getting these strategies to even more busy, awesome brains who need them. All right, my friends, that's going to do it for us this week. And if you are ready to take these concepts and apply them to your life, if you're ready to learn how to support your ADHD in a way that works best for you, I invite you to check out today's show notes where you can learn more about how we can work together, both in my small group coaching program called We're Busy Being Awesome and through one-on-one coaching. Also, if you want to learn my simple step-by-step approach to lock in a routine and make it stick, be sure to check out my free course. It's called the ADHD Routine Revamp. You can tap through the link in the show notes or head to I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/routine to sign up. Until next time, keep being awesome. I'll talk with you soon.